This is lesson 913, positive and negative numbers. This is the parent help video for grade 3 everyday math. We have 4 new vocabulary words that we're going to be talking about today, and they have to do with how degrees are measured in regards to temperature. So we use 2 different scales. This is actually capital. We use a Fahrenheit scale and we use a Celsius scale. The Fahrenheit scale is what we usually see here in the United States on the thermometer. You look out the window or you see the degrees on the thermometer, and there's a scale of the temperature that will tell us. On the Fahrenheit scale, 32 degrees is freezing. Okay, it's really cold. I guess I can zoom in just a little bit. Alright, 32 degrees is really cold on the Fahrenheit scale. But if we had 32 degrees on the Celsius scale, we'd be pretty warm. So it's just good to know the differences. Kids are getting used to this. So this is a US way of measuring temperature. And when we measure it, we say it's in degrees Fahrenheit. So it's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's how we would call this. On the other hand, sometimes you'll see the thermometers. So we'll put the F there so that we know it's Fahrenheit. On the other hand, you may see thermometers that have both measurements. The Celsius scale, much of the rest of the world uses Celsius degrees. This would be 0 degrees Celsius. Okay, so 0 degrees Celsius would be very, very cold. And this side of the thermometer that has the C on it would be the Celsius scale. And just to give you another reference point, let's say we go all the way up to 82 degrees, which in degrees Fahrenheit, most people would agree that 82 degrees is pretty warm. 82 degrees is equal to 28 degrees Celsius. Okay, so if it was 28 degrees Fahrenheit, we know it would be really cold. But 28 degrees Celsius, and see, that's how we call it, degrees Celsius. 28 degrees Celsius is nice and warm. Alright, so that's what we are introducing the kids to today. I always remember it because it's 82 and 28. It's opposite. Okay, it's one of the few numbers I found that works that way. So it's kind of neat. But those are what we're talking about in regards to temperature. As far as concepts, we want kids to be able to compare and order positive and negative numbers. So if they're given a list of numbers, let's say 6, negative 6, 0, and 5, we'll just say, we want kids to be able to put those numbers in the order from smallest to largest, which would be negative 6, 0, 5, and then 6. So we want them to know that the negative numbers are all the way to the left, and that the larger negative numbers, so if the negative number, let's say we had a negative 10, are going to be even further to the left, even though this number is actually smaller than this number, but it's a bigger looking number. And so we want them to be able to put them in order, and we also want them to be able to solve number stories with addition and subtraction of positive and negative numbers. So that's something like maybe the child wants to buy a toy for $4, so the child borrows, let's say the child borrows $4. Since they borrowed it, they actually have negative $4. Maybe how much do they need to get back to having no dollars? Well, they would need to have $4. They would have to add $4, have to chop wood or stack wood or do something helpful to get $4. Alright, or maybe there's another toy they want to buy for $4, but they can't borrow any more money, so they have to get all the way up to a positive $4. So how much money do they need to go from negative 4 to a positive 4? They need to be able to kind of look at a number line or think about, okay, how can I count this negative so that I'm back to 0, and then add this number onto that. So that would be, well, $4 to get back to 0, plus another $4 to save up for the toy I want. I'm going to need $8 in all. So it's those sort of number stories that we want kids to be able to learn about and understand how they work, and actually be able to add and subtract those negative and positive numbers together in there. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of this. So we want them to be able to do this. As far as how you can help with this at home, anything that has to do with adding and subtracting money, adding and subtracting things, especially anything that might be negative. Money's a good example to use just because it very easily goes into the negative, unfortunately. But it's a good example. And how much do we need to spend on this, and how much do we need to get back to zero, and well, if we wanted to buy something on top of that, how much money would we need to earn, and even talk about, okay, and how could we go about doing that. It's a great way to kind of make some connections and use what we're talking about in class. Also with temperature. The temperature is something kiddos see every day, and just being able to convert Fahrenheit into Celsius. Some smartphones will do it these days. Also the internet, there's programs, so kids could look at how to do that. We don't, of course there are formulas, but in 3rd grade we don't actually get into the specifics of how those formulas actually work. But do feel free to talk about the temperature. Please use degrees Fahrenheit, degrees Celsius in your conversation. You know, maybe it's 32 degrees here. How cold is it in Celsius if it's 32 degrees Fahrenheit? Just those sorts of conversations are great for kids. So this is lesson 913, positive and negative numbers, the parent help video for grade 3 everyday math.